All right, welcome to the next level. Got my man James Torrey with us today. How we doing, James?
Good, Mike. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. I almost want to say Joe Torrey. You're not related to Joe Torrey,
No,
are you?
I'm not.
No,
I got a Y at the end, and
okay.
I'm not rich, so and I'm not good at baseball.
No. Okay. You good at life insurance, though?
I'm decent at life and life insurance. Absolutely.
You're on track for Hall of Fame.
Yes.
Right? You're at right around 250 right now
I'm
for the year. We're probably a week behind with our numbers.
2 weeks.
Yep, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So you're even closer.
Yeah.
And really, you're just at this point. You keep doing what you're doing, you're going to hit it.
Correct.
And you've really increased your volume this year.
Yes.
And you also moved to telesales this year.
Yes.
Right? So what I want to talk about today, James, is the biggest piece, or one of the biggest pieces of selling, is connecting.
Absolutely.
You have to connect with your clients in some way, shape, or form, right? You have to be their best friend.
No.
Now, that's a little different when you can't see them, right? If I come to your house to look you in the eye, I can see your pictures. Even sometimes walking into, your vet, right?
Absolutely.
How many times I saw, some type of military sticker on a truck that gave it away. I walk in the door, we're talking about the service. I never served, my father did, so it's like
You
right
have
there.
something
I
to
have
talk
something.
about.
Exactly.
Otherwise, you're just strangers.
Yep.
Right.
Over the phone,
Absolutely.
you don't have that. You got the
Nothing.
phone number, their name, and some other data, right?
Yeah.
But tell me how you've been able to connect so well on the phone, because you have. I mean, your volume actually went up when you switch over to telesales. Is that accurate?
Huge.
Yeah.
It went up huge.
Which is usually not the case. A lot of times what happens is volume's here, you switch over to telesales, it drops down, there's a little bit of a learning curve, and then it gets back up there. But you didn't have much of it. Kind of switched telesales and went up through the roof, right?
It didn't hurt that I had helped 26 families on one phone call.
26 on one phone call?
26 families on one phone call, and it took me like an hour and a half.
Wow.
And I was like, so all my confidence was like,
Yeah.
right up. Like, I thought, you ever seen Wolf of Wall Street?
Oh, yeah.
Where the first time he's sitting there with, what's his name there, Jonah Hill, and
Yeah.
they took a hit of crack, and his heart almost exploded.
Yes.
That's what I felt like during that phone call. And I'm like, I'm in this to
Yeah.
win this, dude. will never
You
stop.
didn't even have any crack.
I didn't have no crack. It was all natural high, dude. It
Nice.
was humongous because it was so easy. I'm like, dude, they set me up for this. I'm like,
Yeah.
they just want me to like these leads. Like, I thought it was a conspiracy.
They
I'm like, this
handpicked
is
that lead.
impossible, dude. They must have paid half of that policy.
Right.
But no, so I had a lot of success up front, and that helped me. And I don't think I would have continued to have success had I not had that,
Okay.
reaffirming belief that this will work, this can work.
Got
and,
it. Yeah. But connecting specifically, what are some things you do on the phone to connect? Because like we said, it's different. You can't see them.
No.
But obviously you're making that connection because you're helping a lot of families.
Yep.
What are you doing on the phone?
So, like, when you go in their house, you can see things, like you said, right?
Yeah.
But you can hear things. You can hear their tonality. If they're in a good mood, the bad mood, and you meet them where they're at on the phone. Like,
Yeah.
let's say I call you. I'm like, hey, ring, ring.
Yeah.
Hello, right?
Hello.
Hey, Mike, how's it going?
Doing all right.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. I'm like, I'm just getting back to you really quick about the vet life options that you requested information on.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're not even that interested. I'm like, I know you're probably like in the middle of something right now, but if you have like 30 seconds.
Yep, I do.
Okay, perfect. Let's go through it. It says here that you're like 43 years young. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay,
That's it.
perfect. Okay, so I'm just, I see, you're in the Marine Corps.
Yeah, I was.
So was I. Perfect.
Really?
I'm like, what's up, devil dog? You know what I mean? That's what I say. I'm like,
Yeah.
"Tu full Hunden." He's like, what's that? I'm like, you don't remember? I'm like, that's German. I'm like, for devil dog. I'm like,
Yeah.
we learned that in boot camp. Anyways, so I said, all right, if you got 30 seconds, let me just go through the quote with you. I'm like, I can give you numbers up front,
Yeah.
but understand until we go through your health and this like 3 to 5 minute assessment, they're not going to be accurate. And then at the end, you're like, James, you told me it was going to be cheaper, and it wasn't. I'm not qualified for it. You did a bait and switch on me, God damn it. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I feel like they would do. So I tell them that up front. I'm like, hey, you'll be upset. So let's go through this 3 to 5 minute underwriting process. I jump on Americall.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's like they tell you really quick what's going on, like
Right.
if you're on the right track.
Yep.
And then I ask them the health questions, and I say, "Wow, super great! You're qualified for an IULE. It's like a whole life policy. It's day one. I mean, no accidental death, but it's super cheap. Someone could have got a whole life policy 10 years ago, and with these IULEs, it's a game changer.
Right,
You're saving them money, and you're helping them get into something that they really want to be in.
Absolutely.
So it's just simple. It's finding out what they want and giving it to them, connect to them, being funny, a little bit of humor.
Yeah, I mean, humor allows you a lot of leeway, number one.
It does.
Right? It's kind of like we talked about, being in the house, you have more leeway.
Absolutely.
Right.
Because you're a presence.
You're present.
Yes.
You're there. They've invited you in. They've done all these things. Phone, anyone can pick up the phone and say hello.
Yes.
But humor gives you a lot of leeway. It also helps break the ice because you're, at the end of the day, you're calling someone. Yes, they filled something out, but they don't know you.
No.
They don't know you at all.
They don't trust you either.
They don't trust you.
Not at all.
Not yet.
Right.
But humor is a great icebreaker. So you kind of touched on a little bit in that role play, but what are some other situations or scenarios where you're using humor to help you break the ice and make the sale?
So with humor, I just find something that we can relate on, right? So like I was saying before, you don't listen to music you don't relate to. You don't buy something from someone you can't relate to. Right. So I find that relation. They don't have to have been in the Marines. You know what I mean? The fact that they were in the military, I'll ask them, hey, where'd you serve? Yeah. You know, if they were anywhere on the West Coast, I'm like, oh, so you were a Hollywood Marine. You know what I mean? And that's like a joke, an inside joke. And the fact that I know that, I'm giving credibility to the fact that, one, I was in the Marine Corps, and you're not the first vet that I've ever spoken to. I'm not calling you from like some third world country trying to steal your money. Right. I start to build a trust. Humor builds a trust, especially when you have factual information to give people, right? Because if they trust you, you're good. Yeah. You know, I've had people that are like, you know, you seem very trustworthy. They're like, not to be racist or anything, but I can tell by speaking with you that you're not a con artist. I'm like, why? You've never met a white con artist before? Or like a Caucasian, you know what I mean? I'm like, you don't know that. And I told him that joke. I'm like, you don't know. I'm not going to tell you if I was a con artist, but I sent him my license, you know, my licensure for whatever state it is, and Massachusetts. Okay. And I explained to them, listen, you'd probably think it was funny. I'm calling you from Massachusetts, and I'm sending you a Tennessee license. And you're like, oh, my God, this is some kind of scam. No, it's not. So I sent him the Mass license, too. I'm like, you have to be licensed in your home state. I have to explain those things to people because you'll confuse them. And then next thing you'll know, they'll be like, oh, if you're from Mass, why do you have a license to do life insurance in Tennessee? And then it's hard because now you're dealing with an objection, but you can stop it before it starts.
It goes back to what we talk about all the time is removing the objections. Now, there's somewhat different objections when you're selling, you know, telesales versus in the home. Right. But that's a perfect one. I mean, they want to know that they want to know who you are. They want to know that you're licensed, and some agents, you know, send that the minute they get on the phone. At what point are you doing that with your credentials?
It's different every time. Okay. So sometimes I don't need to. I don't feel the need to do that because the people are like giving me the information I want.
Got it. So you're gauging it each time.
But then, like, I don't know about other people, but I used to, when I started doing this, I was like, I skipped over social. I'd skip over it and I'd go ask like anything else. Anything else. I was just like, all right, where do you live? Yeah. Where were you born? Okay, cool. And now I'm going to do the MIB report. I'm like, that's just medical information background check. In order to do that, I need your social security number. What is it? Now that's what I say. Yeah. You know, but I'd always like stumble into it. And I know it's got to be confident. It's just got to be like normal. But that's a big ask for someone if they don't trust you.
Right. Was there a point where you struggled getting the social? Did you ever get pushed back?
Not the social, but the accounting information.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I usually ask them like, so in the event that I could get you the policy and you did want the policy. Yeah. You know, always that give and take. You know, what bank would you want it to come out of? What's the name of it? Mm-hmm. And they tell me the name of the bank. And I say, okay, cool. And I Google it. And I Google the state and the routing number. And I'd be like, okay, I think I have the routing number for this bank. Yeah. Can you verify it with me? Grab your checkbook and verify it with me. And then they go get it and they verify the routing number, which is obviously public information. Right. And they're like, okay, yeah, that's right. I'm like, okay, perfect. Now, assuming we get you the policy that you do want, right? You do want it. Yeah, I do. If you're approved, I'm going to need the account number. So while you have your checkbook, just give it to me. And they will give it to you. Yeah. You know, so I just found ways to ease myself into it.
Got it. What were you doing prior when you struggled getting it?
I don't even know. I was just like, all right, cool. You wanted to start on the 3rd. What's your routing and account number? Yeah. You know, and they're like, oh, I don't feel comfortable giving you that information, right, James. I'm like, so you don't trust me? And then that's why I became funny on the phone. I'm like, so you're telling me you don't trust me? I'm like, you know what? That's my fault. I didn't give you a reason to. Let me send you really quickly my license to do business in Kentucky, Massachusetts, and my driver's license so you can verify all the information. It's also public record on your state insurance website. And they're like, okay, cool. And sometimes I have to send that. Like I get reluctance before I get a social. Mm-hmm. And when I start to feel that, like, they don't even want to tell me what they're paying or how much life insurance they have. I'm like, this is going to be tough. This is going to be a battle. You know,
Yeah.
I'm like, 'cause that's meaningless. I'm like, are you telling me that you wouldn't tell your car insurance person how much you're paying? Because this is the same thing,
Right.
right? Car
Yep,
insurance,
absolutely.
you know, so they're tough.
Yeah.
Some are tough, some are easier than others.
But you know what though? It's like if you're having an issue getting any piece of information, you're causing that issue.
Absolutely. It's my fault.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you identify like even the way you're like, I don't know, but I know I was nervous. So
Yeah.
if you're nervous, well, what do you think they're going to be?
Exactly.
And that comes across on the phone. So you're hesitant to ask. So now subconsciously they're thinking, if he's nervous to ask, then
Why?
I probably shouldn't give it to him.
Why
He might
is
be
he
up to
nervous?
something. Exactly.
Why is he nervous?
Yeah. Because if he's just trying to help me out with life insurance, and if it's just part of the process and they have to do this, why would he be nervous?
It's PTSD from these customers,
Yeah.
man. I'm trying to help you people.
Right.
Like, listen, but they've given me so much stuff. They're like, you could be a scammer.
Yeah.
I could be.
Right.
Yeah.
So could you, though.
Yeah. Right.
How do I know it's really you?
Right. And I'm sending you my driver's license. I'm like,
Yeah.
I better not have any loans in Kentucky. You
Right.
know?
Yeah, that's when it's like when you kind of take yourself out of the appointment for a second, look at everything. Like I remember being in the home and getting this pushback, and you're like, well, how can I trust you? And I would flip it on that. How could I trust you? I'm in your house.
Right.
Like, I'm here. If I don't walk out, who the hell's going to know where I'm at?
Nobody.
Like, I'm in your house, by
Yeah,
the way.
absolutely.
So how do I know you are really who you say you are? You know, the insurance company wants to know that you're really who you say you are.
Where's
as well.
your license really quick? I
Exactly.
need to make sure. I'm going to take a picture, send it to somebody. You know?
But the point, though, is whatever you're struggling with, whether it's the check, because I've struggled with that, the social, the driver's license, getting them, to agree they want, whatever it is, you're causing that.
Absolutely.
If you're uncomfortable, they're going to be uncomfortable. If you're nervous, they're going to be nervous. But if you treat it like it's just part of the process, like
Which it is.
it is, it's on the app, right?
It is, and I shouldn't skip it, but
Yeah.
I feel like I know when to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like, I feel like this is a time where I should skip the social and just let me ask your address. Like, why do they even put the social before the address?
Right.
Like, don't you warm up to it a little
Yeah.
bit? I mean,
Oh, no, it's
it's
right
like
there.
taking some. Nope, we need a social. We cannot continue.
But think about that. Are you ever uncomfortable asking them for their address?
No,
No.
I'm not.
It's right on. And I understand that,
Yeah.
social sent, but it's on the application right in the same area.
Oh, I don't feel bad. I never did. I just felt bad from the feeling they made
Oh,
me
yeah.
feel. Right? They made me feel that way by telling me, you could be not trusting me.
Right.
And that made me feel bad because I'm trying to help them.
Absolutely.
So that's why my hand got burned a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Not because I thought I was doing anything wrong. I knew I'm not.
Right.
So now it's just, all right, soch.
Yep.
I don't even say social. Like, I need your soch. They're like, huh? I'm like, soch. The 9 digits that identifies you as a person. You know what I mean? And they
Right.
just give it to me now. And it's because I don't hesitate. I'm
Yep.
like, come on, we got to get going here. I have other
And
veterans to
sometimes
help.
they'll ask, like I've been there where, can you give me, what's your social? What do you need that for?
You
And
tell
then
them.
I would get, in the beginning, I get defensive. Well, obviously I needed to, and I just go, well, because I need to know who you are. What's your social? They almost look at them like you are ridiculous for questioning me when I'm asking your social for an application for life insurance. Like, it's going to pay when you die, right?
Right.
They're going to have to know who the money goes to,
Right.
your beneficiary, and they're going to have to know that you're actually dead, and they're going to identify you by your social.
Yep.
And then to pay for this, they're going to need some money that's come out of your checking account. That's why I need your account number. Mm-hmm. But if you treat it like it's just
Another question.
another question.
And you might get blowback sometimes.
Absolutely.
Because it's normal, I think.
Yes.
And when it does, I'm like, have you ever? I thought you said you had a policy. I don't. Like, I thought you had. I have a life insurance policy. They're like, yeah, I do. I'm like, so you've been through this before,
Right.
So what is it about me that you don't trust? Well, the guy came to our house before, and Gladys told us about him, and she said that he was a great guy, and he's been servicing our family for like 15 or 20 years. I'm like, have you seen him lately?
Yeah.
Well, no. Okay. Well, great. I'm here now. I'm trying to help you.
Right.
You just got to figure out why they don't trust you.
Yeah.
That's it. It's trust. If they trust you, they will spit out all that information.
Absolutely.
Now,
you're doing a lot of vet leads, right?
Yep. Only
Vet leads. But you've sold before when you weren't doing vet leads, right?
Oh, yeah.
Now, that's easy for you to connect. You were in the service.
Sure.
You weren't in the service, or I'm saying you mean people that weren't in the service. How are you connecting there? What have you done in the past to find?
I use the service.
Yeah.
I go in there and I'd see like their memorialized pictures of their family members who served in the military and anything, whether they had a dog, a cat, what kind of car they had, or that I liked their house.
Yeah.
just something trivial. I mean, nobody doesn't want to hear a compliment.
Correct.
You know, and not to be fake. I find something I actually do
Yeah.
like, and I say, oh, I like that.
Dude,
you know?
after a few questions, you connect with just about anyone.
You have.
And just like be smart. If I was in a house where they didn't have kids, I didn't talk about my kids that much because that wasn't something we could
relate
connect
to,
on, right? But if I'm sitting with you got 4 kids, dude, all I'm talking about is my kids. I'm asking about your kids. Do they play sports? What's that like? Like, that's what we're going to talk about for 90% of the time. But if you had no kids, dude, I may, maybe we're talking about movies and we're bullshitting about Wolf of Wall Street. Like,
exactly.
It's like you can't have this. A lot of people when they get started, they think they have to have everything figured out before they get in the home.
No,
you're going to figure it out in the home.
You have to, and the information goes both ways.
Yes.
Right. So what you put out, what you take in, and as these people speak, you have to pivot.
Yeah.
Instantly.
Right.
Like I've put my foot in my mouth several times by not paying attention to what they said, and I've offended people not purposely or being rude, but by just like, okay, do you want, is one of your kids going to be the beneficiary? Oh, I told you I couldn't have kids. Oh,
yeah.
Like something stupid. You have to pay attention, and that could have killed the deal.
Absolutely.
I said, I'm sorry. I apologize for that. I'm like, I know you said something about children. Mm-hmm. I know someone that couldn't have kids. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I know that must be tough.
Yeah.
You have to empathize with people. You have to explain to them it's important if they don't know. And the way to get them to know if it is like, why are you filling this out?
Right.
Was there somebody you had in mind, like that you don't want to pay for all this when you pass away?
Yeah. When do you bring up beneficiary?
Oh, quick.
Yeah.
Especially if like, I think I'm good. I don't need life insurance. I'm like, so you don't care about anybody? You must care about somebody. I'm gonna know you're gonna be missed when you die, right? And they're like, well, maybe my niece, And I'm like, okay, so he's going to niece, not kids. Perfect. Okay. So what is it that you would want to protect your niece from? Tell me. Well, I don't want her. She's the only one that really comes and visits me, and I don't want her to have to pay for anything. Oh, perfect. That's why you filled out the form. Right. So let me help you do that. Right now, I'm sure you'd like to leave her $1 million. Our hearts aren't always as big as our pockets, right? But we can fit your budget. What budget? It's the same conversation
exactly.
over and over and over on repeat.
Absolutely.
And just be consistent, and then dissect your numbers.
Right.
Makes you feel a lot better.
Yep. One thing about building rapport, connecting is you can do too much of it. You can become their friend.
It's easy to say no to your friends.
It's easy. It's so easy, right? So what are you doing on the phone to just be aware of, like, not going too far? How do you know where the line is?
Okay, perfect. So when they're talking too much, right? Because keeping them talking is keeping them on the phone, right? But then, like, James, you know what? I'll call you later, right? I've gotten that before. Like, what do you mean you'll call me later? Well, it was a good talk. I'll talk to you another time. We'll do this. Don't worry about the life insurance. We'll take care of that another time. Like, dude, we're not drinking. You're in Pennsylvania. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm here in Mass. I'm trying to help you get this. Like, so in order to stop that, I redirect them.
Yeah.
Just like you've had to do to me several times today. I take them back to where we were at, and I'm like, look, I love talking to you. Don't get me wrong. We have a lot that we can relate on. I want you to know how important it is that we get through this application. We can bullshit later.
Yeah.
And they're like, cool. All right. Yeah. And they don't get offended.
Right.
You take control. At the end of the day, I know it's easy to say no to your friends. All of a sudden we're friends and you're like, oh, well, you'll understand if I don't buy a policy. No, I won't. I just spent an hour on the phone with you. Yeah. That's my fault.
Yep.
I shouldn't be on the phone for like more than 27 minutes unless I'm writing like his wife.
Right.
And one of his kids.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's hard to. It's something you got to be aware of the whole time because you want to connect with them.
Yep.
You want to get them, or you have to get them to trust you and like you. But if you go too far, like you said, then they become their friend, and I'll call you later. Yeah.
You don't want to be in the friend zone. No. Not with girls and not with life insurance sales.
Neither one.
Neither one of those things.
But it's just being intentional, being aware, and also knowing that you can pull it back too.
Absolutely.
Like you said, they're getting ready to hang up. And you go, hold on, let's just wrap this up real quick. And that's why you have to find out their why.
Right.
Because you can always go back to that. How early in your phone call are you uncovering their why?
Pretty quick. Like, I'd say I'm finding out right now, like, what they're doing, where they're at. And then directly after that, it's all intel gathering, right? Yeah. That's all I'm doing on the phone. I'm like, this intel gatherer. I'm like, where are you right now? They're like, who the hell are you? I'm like, I'm just curious. Like, I can hear something in the background. Are you like shopping or something? Because I'm not going to give you the information you requested when you don't have a pen and paper to write it down.
You're over here weighing grapefruits.
Yeah.
And trying to,
Are
give
you
you a
kidding
quote,
me? Yeah. So after that, I'm like, if I, they're like, well, I'm in the car. I can listen. Not ideal. Right. I'm like, okay, perfect. Do you know your routing and account number by heart? And they're like, well, I know the account number. Perfect. I can find the routing. Let's go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I tell them, like, listen, I also set the expectations, right? So after that, I say, all right, the most important part of this whole thing is your beneficiary. That's who you want to protect, right? Is that right? Yes. Okay, who is that person? I want to write their name down so I know how important they are to you. I want to make sure I got spelling right and everything and have them go through that. Yeah. All right, date of birth. And I write it on a pen and paper because we're not there yet. Right. And I just write it down. And I try to remember that name, Yeah. And then I just tell them, like, this is how it's going to go. We're going to, I'm going to ask you like 5 or 6 health questions just to give me the right direction with you. And then after that, I'm going to see if you're qualified. I'm going to submit it to like an underwriting tool that I have and find out, what you qualify for. It takes like 3 to 5 minutes to get through that part. After that, okay, in order to do that, first I tell them I'm going to need your social. I tell them that up front. Like, look, I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste my time. You're going to have to give me your social security number. Why? Okay, MIB report. You ever heard of it? No, what is it? I tell them. Yeah. And after that, they're like, okay, I can go with that. Yeah. All right, cool. And assuming you get approved for something that you like, makes sense to you and your budget, your family, and protects your family the way you want it to, you're going to have to give me your banking information. Are you good with that too? Yeah, I know how this works. Or, well, I'm not too sure. So we get over those objections right in the beginning before I waste the whole phone call.
Right, because if it's a flat no, like, hey, there's no way I'm giving you my social, or I don't do anything like this over the phone, James. Right. You don't want to waste an hour on the phone.
No, I have other things to do.
You have other things to do. If it's local, maybe you go see them. If it's not, maybe give it to an agent in that area. But just you're going to call someone else because you don't have 3 hours to try to convince someone to give you the social when they're not going to do it anyways.
Right, they're not.
There's enough.
They don't want it.
Right.
There's not a big enough need. The other thing is, have you ever done the direct billing thing? I've been paid on like 2 policies like that out of like 50.
Yeah, I was saying, knock on wood. Yeah, it ain't happening again.
It's not happening. You might as well just forget it.
Absolutely.
Call me back when you understand that's the only way to get the policy. I'm like, you can honestly, we can call up together to the company. I've done that too. Yeah. I've called into Americo, Mutual. I think all of them actually. I've called into them like, hey, I got this customer on the phone. I'm writing a policy for them. We're getting to some pretty personal information. They just wanted to verify that I am an active agent. Mm-hmm. They do that for you. Yeah. They will do it for you. Absolutely. They've done it, and it's helped. I've gotten through those objections like that. That was before I built my own trust, though. That was in the beginning of this.
I'll say that's the key. That ain't the best way to do it. But if you got to do it, you got to do it.
It's the last thing on your list.
But be clear, if you're running into that, there's something that you can do differently to avoid that. And that's been probably one of my favorite things about this business since I got started, James, was that whatever I'm doing is because of me. Right. The results I'm getting are my fault, good or bad. Yep. Right? If you helped 250 families plus this year, that's because you went out and did that. Right. The ones you didn't help, that was also your fault.
Sure it was.
That's okay. Yeah. But you're not going to help them all.
No, you can't.
But it's understanding that, hey, if I never did telesales, I was in home, but I knew that if I went out to meet with you and your family and I didn't walk out with an application, I didn't help you out with a policy, I screwed something up. Yep. And you go, well, they just weren't going to trust anyone. Maybe. But also, if I start thinking that,
yeah, you'll believe it.
Then I'll believe it, and then I'll start helping less families, and then it will always be the family's fault. And then I never did anything wrong. Then I don't get better. And then what usually happens with those people is they go broke and quit.
Sure.
Right.
They build their own barriers.
Absolutely.
Right.
But if I go, it's on me. Because 2 reasons clients don't buy when you're in a lead-based sale.
Sure.
That's it. We're in a lead-based sale.
Yep.
They fill something out. They don't trust you, or you didn't fit their budget. You didn't find something that fit their budget. Yeah. There's no other reason. Yeah. You know what I mean? They filled something out for life insurance.
Well, how much is it? Yeah. Well, let's find out if you're approved, because if it's $1 million for $1, doesn't matter if you're not going to get qualified for it, right? And I do tell them that all the time. Like,
I used to go, hey, you determine that. What do you mean? Well, depends on how much you want and what you get qualified for.
You don't buy it with money. You buy it with your health.
Absolutely. Right? I don't know how much it's going to be, but you determine your budget. Most important thing we do today is find something that fits your needs and your budget. Yep. If we do that, is there any reason you wouldn't want to make an application? No, I'm good. but it's like you said, removing those objections
before they happen.
Yes, but use humor. Don't be afraid to make fun of yourself.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's huge, right?
I've gotten through life that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm like, oh, man, yeah. I won't give advice on the gym today.
Yeah.
You know, got you. All right.
Right.
Could work on that.
Hey, whatever works, too.
You know, and people, they eat up humor.
Yes.
They can also tell when you're real, when you're genuine.
Mm-hmm.
So if you do care about people, you'll do well in this because you're just trying to help them.
And you can't fake that.
Look, man, I just want to help. That's it. At the end of the day, when they give me an attitude, I'm like, I just want to help you, man.
Right.
You know, I used to say, I'm just coming over. I'm coming. Yeah. I heard Sean say it once on something he did.
Yeah,
He's like, yeah, I'll be there. Well, we have an appointment. He's like, oh, I didn't have an appointment. Well, I'm here and you're here, so that's basically like the first step of an appointment. You know?
Exactly.
Like, and I tried that. I did stuff like that. Yeah. I like this.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, do appreciate everything.
Hey,
you're
absolutely,
doing.
Absolutely. Oh, we got to do it again. That was horrible.
That was pretty bad. Yeah. Guys, thanks for tuning in. You know where to find us every week right here on The Next Level. We'll see you next week.